Hello and welcome to Discourse of Peacocks, where today we are going to be discussing Leeds United 2, Swansea City 2, in which it was an enthralling start. We started incredibly well. We started emphatically and excitedly, and I thought after the first 40 seconds it was going to be um, another Cardiff score, and that did not end up being the case at all. Hello, lovely. My first comment on my first live. Thank you very much for joining me here. It is very appreciated. I I thought we were going to get a game where it was going to be a real goal thriller, and I suppose for the neutral it was, with there being 4 goals. However, it it didn't seem to ever end up that way. It seemed to dissipate as soon as we scored. We had like 2 opportunities within, we should have been 2-0 up within the first 3 minutes of the game, and it didn't end up that way. In fact, I honestly think that Swansea did deserve the point. And if we're looking at the actual pros and cons of things, I think they probably deserved the win. And I don't like saying that about an opposition team. I'm just going to get into a couple of comments. A few lovely people. Hello, Nick. Hello. Always love you, Wilco Whites. Thank you for joining us. Danny, the man, the myth, the legend. Brett. Gary, of course. It has been a long time coming, Danny. Thank you for being here. It's always nice to have people who I have known since right at the beginning, when I was going on Kate's show and then going on both Joe's shows. It's definitely something different from being in a chat with lots of other people and opinions to bounce off. So it's quite nice having other people here, knowing that, you lot are all little legends. I say little because, I'm pretty sure that if I was stood next to any one of you, I'd be the smallest person there. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I'm hoping, I don't want to jinx anything or say it too loudly, that my internet should be sorted. Unfortunately, we've got Sky Internet, but shh, we don't say it too loud because I know we don't particularly like them. But yeah, I think that they're good in terms of, we created opportunities. Again, Nonto came on and we thought he really deserved that moment. I would have loved for him to have that. He came on and won it away at Swansea, and he came on and won it for us at home. I really did think up until that second, up until the second half, when Meslier literally dropped the ball, both physically, literally, and metaphorically, and allowed them back in. I thought he was having probably the game of his season. I don't think there's many games, obviously I don't think he's saved a penalty since 2018, I believe it was. So I do think the fact I do think the fact that he'd saved it, and then especially throughout that first half, when we basically just backed off after the 5th minute and Swansea were just dominant over us, which is something that we haven't been used to. We haven't seen this season. And I think there's arrogance. I really do think that there's arrogance in this setup, and I don't know where that comes from. And after Daniel Farke's comments, I was on Just Joe's show the other day, and I said that him and Luke, quite rightly said that they liked that kind of bullish attitude from him, and the kind of potentially kind of throwing down the gauntlet almost at, throwing down the gauntlet with the team to say, "Yeah, come on, you guys, we're gonna be playing Premier League football next season, aren't we?" When actually, mm, I don't know if he's saying that finally now in front of the cameras. What has he been saying all season behind? Like, is this where this arrogance comes from? It actually comes from Daniel Farke. I don't know. I just didn't quite like that, and I don't think when a team is kind of on a little bit of a downward trajectory, you should be coming out and saying, "Yeah, we will do this." I don't think you should be saying that in front of the cameras because I think it makes you look like a fool, as in Daniel Farke. I think it makes the team have this arrogance and this ability to think that it's just this God-given right because we're Leeds United, we belong in the Premier League. No team belongs in the Premier League. They have to earn their way. Obviously, it's a lot easier to stay in the Premier League once you've been in it and you've managed to kind of consolidate your finances, your teams, you're gaining league positions year after year so that potentially you can challenge for Europe. There's a real good chance this year that Crystal Palace get European football because it's probably one of the most bizarre FA Cup runs that we've had in a long time, with only Man City, I think, out of the top 6 being there because Man U are out. And by top, I mean big 6, not top 6, obviously, because the top 6 is nowhere near what it usually would be. I agree, Danny. I do think the players are thinking that we're going to win, and at the end of the day, on paper, as we all like to say, we should be winning every single game. We create the best statistics in the league. So if every game was played on paper, we'd already be in the Premier League. We'd have got promoted in February easily. And I I know that sounds quite bullish as well, but that's how good the stats that we're producing are, is that we're essentially a Premier League team playing in the Championship. We're the Leicester City of last year, this year, but we're not. We've somehow managed to not just be in second on goal difference, but actually points, and as Chris Wilder says, we've actually earned 2 more points than we have because of the fact that they had that 2-point deduction. So I don't like that attitude. I really don't. And it's something that I've consistently said. It's not just, I'm not just saying that now to try and be negative. I don't like arrogance. Confidence and cockiness are different. Arrogance. And when Farke says comments like that, considering he's so placid and level-headed and complimentary and quite kind of not down on himself or down on the team, but we always look very humble. And for him to then come out right at this stage in the season, when it's not like we were 7 games ago when we were multiple points clear of third, we're only in second on goal difference. And when you look at the run that the other teams are on, especially Burnley, not only have they not lost in months, but they haven't conceded in ages, and they've only conceded, a handful of goals since the turn of the year. We're conceding a goal every game at the moment. Excuse me. It's only the Millwall 2-0 that we didn't concede in, and we should be beating Millwall. We should be. That isn't being cocky. That's just saying that we've got a squad that would fit in a lower end Premier League team. And well, Millwall are constantly in a relegation battle. So yeah, we should be. I'm just going to get through a few comments. Aaron, I felt like he will hate that he said that. I think that was a precious statement, but he regrets it, to be honest. Uncharacteristic. Yeah, I agree, because he's quite humble and level-headed, and I don't think that suits him. In terms of, I don't think that being arrogant suits him, but maybe that's actually his personality. Maybe he's incredibly media trained and knows what to say to the cameras to come across as a certain type of individual. And actually, this is the kind of stuff that he's been saying to the team behind the scenes of, I know my business. I've been promoted twice before. I've got 90 plus points, before. I got 90 points last season. Any other season we get promoted. But guess what? It's a different season and we're still struggling with our form at the business end of the season. So yeah, it's quite I wouldn't necessarily say shambles, but I do think some cracks are starting to appear. I'm not willing to throw the man under the bus because that's just not me. I'm passionate, but I try not be, this person is God, this person is, terrible. I try and yings and yangs and think of the best in the middle. It's just, I'm fairly diplomatic, and some people say I could be a politician, but I can lie straight in bed, so I definitely wouldn't suit that. A scream match between Parag and Farke post Swansea as well. Oh, please explain. I haven't heard that. I agree, Nick. I agree. Yeah, we do seem to back off after the first 5 minutes. We seem to, and it's difficult to find out because Farke always says in his press conferences, "Oh, we could have scored more." But this is 2 seasons worth where we've had games where we go ahead and then seem to back off. So that would suggest that it was the manager, and we do know from his own words and from seeing it with our own eyes that he is a safety first manager. So it does make me think that maybe he said, right, soak some pressure. And we have done it throughout the season. So it's not even like he's changing his philosophy right now, because actually throughout the season, we did it when we were against Watford at home, where we went obviously 2 goals up. They basically gifted us those goals. And then they score immediately, the first 2 minutes of the second half, and we are holding on for dear life for the majority of that second half. But we did it and we won. So it is a consistent thing with him that we score, go ahead, and then back off. But we've done it successfully throughout the rest of the season. And had we have done it successfully in this game, I don't think anybody really says that much about the going ahead. But I do agree. And it is frustrating because we know that this team, no matter who it is, because even though Piro's not scoring at the moment, we still scored 2 goals at home, which should be enough to get you over the line when you consider how far ahead most of our squad is against the rest of the league. Evie, what do you think about our fan base? Do you think we deserve the Premier League? I feel such toxic entitlement and negativity sometimes among the fan base. Yeah, I think you're going to get that with any fan base, though. I think that we have such a passionate fan base. You seem to see the extremes much more in terms of when we are elated, when we are in a good place. We are the best thing since sliced bread, no doubt. There is no team like Leeds United. There is no fan base like Leeds United. There's no club. There's no history. All of these things. There is nothing quite like Leeds United. But then when we fail, there's nothing quite like Leeds United. We said, everybody said, to the point where it's become its own cliche of the only thing that can get in the way of Leeds United's promotion hopes this season are Leeds United. And unfortunately, that is seeming to come true at the moment. Let me know in the chat what you think. Are we a self-fulfilling prophecy? Are we going to lead things up, or do you think that the team are different from last year? Do you think the team are more balanced? Because we have been throughout the rest of the season. We have been a brilliant team. goals coming from everywhere. You know, you saw it with Norwich this year when they lost was it Signs. They kind of fell apart. They didn't have a goal scorer. You know, when who else was it? Plymouth lost Whittaker. They didn't know where the goals were coming from. They've been so reliant on him for I'm sorry if you can hear squeals. My dog is behind there somewhere, having a little nap. You know, so whereas we're not dependent, yes, we have top goal scorer in Pirro, but it's not like last season where every single goal contribution is coming from one of two players, either Somerville or Rutter. We've got goals, we've got assists from literally everywhere on the pitch. You know, even though obviously Rothwell hasn't scored, he's got like 4 assists, and you know Tanaka's got goals. But going back to your point, nobody deserves Premier League. You have to earn it, and that's what I want Farke to be saying to the players. I don't want him to be saying you're going to be playing Premier League football, because I think it's I'm going to get on my soapbox here, so I apologize. I think it's a wider societal issue of the fact that there are so many people now that just feel incredibly entitled to things, and we don't want Leeds to be that. We want fighters. Now, they don't have to be the way that certain historical players have fought. They don't have to be Click. They don't have to be, you know, anybody, kind of Billy Bremner. They don't have to be those type of people. They just have to care, and they have to fight with whatever tools they have, and they have to want it, and they have to want the club, not just Premier League football. There's so many players now that just want Premier League. Look at Tyler Adams, look at Sinistera. Like, I know Bournemouth are doing brilliant this season, don't get me wrong, but the fan base of Bournemouth, and this is nothing against Bournemouth, but Bournemouth fan base versus Leeds United fan base, the Bournemouth global appeal versus the Leeds United global appeal. Even in the Championship, we have a far bigger reach than Bournemouth do. But Bournemouth can pay Premier League wages. Bournemouth get you on the TV worldwide. It's yeah. I just can't. It's hard to justify saying, yeah, we deserve it. But with the global appeal that we have, we do, but we have to work to get there. So I think it's a balance of both. We have to work to get there. No team has a God-given right. And if the gap between the Championship and the Premier League wasn't so huge, Man United, Tottenham, they'd both be in trouble this season, but especially Man United. And it would be beautiful. It really would. That would be Phil Hayes' second book. Oh, and it was beautiful. Thank you. I don't feel very young at the minute. I feel like Leeds United have certainly aged me. I'm actually only 16. Oh God, I wish. Senior sponsors witness a dust-up between Farke and Parag that went from agitated to shouting to full-on screaming in quick order by all accounts. Heard this from 3 directions, so I'm buying into it. Ooh, I do love a bit of gossip. Oh, yeah, no, well, that would be interesting, and I think that really feeds into the wider issue of if we get promoted, regardless now of where we finish, do we keep Daniel Farke? And I've always said, if he gets us top 2, give him a chance, 100%, no questions asked. But if he gets us up through the playoffs, which, let's face it, if we go in the playoffs, we ain't going up. Do we keep him then? And I've always said I don't think we do, because with this team versus the rest of the league, we should already have been promoted. And I said it on Joe Wayman's channel the other day that with a better goalkeeper, we're already miles ahead. With all of the stats that we create, with the amount of that we limit the XG against us, a goalkeeper barely has anything to do. And to be honest, that's why Melié's kept so many clean sheets. which is why you also have to balance it and say that the defenders, the midfield, everybody was a letdown for that equalising goal. Everybody. Meslier should not have conceded at all, but everybody also had their play to park. What am I trying to say? Part to play. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you're going to get the credits and the plaudits of saying that you have created or helped create the lowest XG against in the league, then you also are part of the problem when you concede. I'm going to get a few comments down. Struggling to look past Meslier. If it wasn't for him this season, we'd be 90 points already, and this dip in form wouldn't feel so bad. Farke has a lot to answer to for sticking with him. Yeah, I agree. I said it in January as well. I think most of us said it in January that up until that point, you can kind of understand where if Farke doesn't think that Darlow's it, that's fine up to a certain point. Then you get another goalkeeper in, or you risk it and you put Darlow in and you put him in earlier in the season so that he can warm up and he can know exactly. We're lucky in the fact that Darlow obviously plays with Rodon, plays with Ampadu, plays with Dan James. So we're lucky in that sense that they have some natural chemistry anyway because they play on the international stage with one another. But for me, Farke should have either got another goalkeeper in January, and I'll be damned if there wasn't one that was at least vaguely suitable, or two, you get Darlow in earlier so that he can gel with the whole of the team and so that he can become kind of fully entrenched in how the team wants to play and how Farke wants him to play. By putting him in with 7 games to go, he is the ultimate scapegoat now, because if he doesn't, if Farke puts Darlow in and Darlow doesn't perform very well, Farke has 2 fail-safes. We didn't buy anybody in like a number 10, so we didn't score enough goals, and that would have counteracted the goals that Meslier lets in. And B, I told you Darlow wasn't good enough. There's easy options, especially for that second one, is you get somebody else in. Goalkeepers for championship level, and he doesn't even have to be a top 3 goalkeeper. He just has to be top 10. And right now, Meslier isn't top 10. Every goal on target seems to find its way past him. But I do agree that Farke has a lot to answer to. I'm sorry, I'm getting really behind with these comments. God, it's like people are actually watching, which is quite scary. The passion of our fan base is so watered down compared to the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Totally different now. I would agree to a certain extent, having only been born in the 90s. I don't feel that I can actually legitimately have a true opinion on this. I can only go by things that my dad has told me, experiences, away games, home games, and things that he went to when he was younger. But I would say that the game in general is different. So therefore, you are going to experience a whole other level of fan, because the product that we are being given is completely different. So many youngsters now that are getting into football don't have the same access that people did do earlier on, because of the fact that it's so expensive. Like, we've got me and my husband, we own our own house, but, we're not well off by any stretch. We make ends meet, and I'm in a very privileged situation to be able to do that. But then we pay for the memberships, and then it's still 50 quid each a ticket. You then add parking, you add petrol, you add, drink money into that. You're looking at 200 quid to go see one game every so often. Not many people can afford to do that. So the amount of fans and maybe the volume of the fans is also being reflected in that. Sorry, this seems to be going on like a bit of a soapbox thing, but I do think that that's not completely down to just the fans. I think that's a whole societal issue of the fact that the fans are being priced out. Foreign fans are actually being placed above the fans that are here, because the fans that are here can't afford it and are having to pay for Sky, for Amazon, for TNT, your just normal TV license whenever a game's on, terrestrial, all of these things. And then you're having to pay for memberships for the chance to potentially get a ticket early, but it still doesn't mean that you get them any cheaper. You just get the privilege of being able to spend 50 quid a ticket. So I think that the passion is the same, but sometimes there's also a little bit of resentment that it costs so much now to go to a game. I don't think it's entitlement. I think it's nerves. We have to do it this season. Otherwise, we could be in wilderness years again. Yeah, I agree. It is incredibly. Last year was the season to get up for it to be super fun. This year, it's business. And are we fluffing our lines again? Too many individuals playing for themselves, wanted to score spectacular, kiss the badge, crowd pleasing, then nothing for the rest of the game. Ooh. Tabby, can you just go on a bit further with that? Just because, other than maybe Solomon, I don't think there's many individual players that do go for the spectacular. I actually think we kind of don't go for the spectacular. We try and walk it in the net, and that is actually our problem. I think that if a few more people did go for the spectacular, we might actually score a few more rather than trying to walk it in, because all they have to do is just put 11 men behind the ball and we can't walk it in. Yeah, I agree, Gabajan. It will be old news. If we win and the other two, or at least one of them, drops points, it'll all be forgotten. And this is the roller coaster, the ride that we all want to get off so that we can go to the Premier League. So it'll just be a journey like that. This is the joy of the championship. Enjoy it, because it won't last, or it'll last for 15 more years. Yeah, it's a good point, Danny. Maybe another keeper would crumble under the pressure of playing for Leeds. I do think that because we love the club so much, I think we can kind of, I think we can underestimate actually how heavy that shirt is, and the fact that it is, it's so obvious to see so many teams up their game, and people think that Leeds fans are just delusional, but no, there's a reason why we are put on primetime telly so often. There's a reason that we have, most teams, when we go away, it's their biggest attendance of the season. So, bums on seats don't lie. It's just one of those things. And I think that sometimes you look at Pirro, obviously this season he's scoring a lot more than he did last season. But if you put him into that Swansea team again, I guarantee he'd be scoring even more, because of the fact that there isn't the same pressure, there isn't the same expectation. The fans don't have the same expectations at lower championship teams. They're happy if they get into a playoff race, let alone actually in the playoffs or automatics and actually get promoted. Whereas the expectation for Leeds United is, we're Premier League, so therefore you have to get the job done. We will love you, we will sing your name until you let us down, and then, as people did on Saturday, they'll boo you off. I'm not quite sure I agree with booings, but yeah, still new to the world of Leeds. Yeah, it's a joy. It's a joy, baby zebra, isn't it? Let's get into a few more. Better team, large contingent of supporters are superstitious. Yeah, I think that we all are. I'd like to think that I'm not, but then if we've won and I've worn a certain shirt, I'll wear it again. If we've lost and I've worn a certain shirt, I'll put it straight in the wash. I immediately, even if I've just literally worn it for that game, I'll put it in the wash to try and wash off the bad luck. I don't think that I shouldn't really be admitting these things when it's on YouTube for everybody to see and judge me on. I believe that we can make it, but Farke needs to stop holding us back in certain situations. our big press is our defense, our best defense at the minute. Yeah, I agree. We saw it a lot under Bielsa in the fact of they can't score if you've got the ball. They can't score if you've got the ball up the other end of the pitch. Sometimes the best form of defense is attack. And yes, we may concede, but we'll just outscore you. And we're on track to score more goals than we did under Bielsa in the promotion winning season. So why? Why not? Sometimes we just have to go for it. A bit like in the reverse fixture of the Swansea game, you just have to outscore them. If you can't trust your goalkeeper, then you have to trust your attackers. But I think that also comes into the fact that Dan James and Solomon look mentally exhausted. I know Dan James can still run, but he's gone back to Dan James of earlier in terms of his decision making hasn't been great the last few games. And everybody knows that I have a massive love affair with Dan James. So for me to be saying it, like, it actually must be true. Let's have a look. Will we wilt under pressure? Only time will tell. We can't predict the future and we can't dwell on the past. Take it game by game. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really positive way to look at it. And I also think that that's the way that Farke looked at it throughout the rest of the season, and it was successful. So I don't understand why he's telling everybody we will be promoted this season. We will be 100% playing Premier League football. No, you just win the game in front of you. That's all you have to do. Just win. Because if you just win that game and then you just win that game and you just win and win, I know it's easier said than done. I'm not daft. Don't let the hair colour fool you. But that's all you have to do. You just have to focus at yourself, on yourselves. And if we do that, we still get promoted. Because if we win all of our games, Burnley can't touch us and they still have to play Sheffield. So there is still a way that not only do we get promoted, but we win the league. We're just having a little bit of a Liverpool moment at this time, where we are just stumbling so that we can go and put our little capes on and fly off and win the league. Don't know who I'm trying to convince, whether it's me or you guys. Yeah, you did, Danny. Yeah, you've said that consistently throughout the season that you said that we would come second in the league. Yeah, I actually think that that's kind of true. We went on our best vein of form last season when we were chasing, and I said it earlier on in the season that I wasn't that bothered about us. That I wasn't worried about us kind of still chasing. I think it was just before Christmas, because obviously we've been top of the table since Christmas, I believe, or maybe the New Year. I can't remember quite which. But we kind of need to get into that groove and we need to turn it around quick. And if we don't turn it around like we didn't turn it around last season, then that's Farke's mentality wearing off on the players. I know, right? A stream, an actual stream. This is what happens when you have internet. I don't want to say it too loudly, just in case it all goes wrong. But yeah, this is an actual live stream. Agree, Herbert. Agree. It was a team effort to concede that goal. It was a kind of, if you were to kind of imagine Leeds United as a American comedy, like slapstick style comedy film, where everybody's just kind of falling over, there's kind of cream pies coming in every direction. That is how that second goal went. It just should not have happened. And you kind of have to laugh at it. And I can kind of laugh at it now a few days later. I'm still sad about it. I am. And usually I'm over it within a day or two, but I don't know. It's just, I've just got the Leeds nerves about things. Sharing your thoughts. I hope people like you are the future of our Leeds, of our fan base and Leeds United community. I'm behind the manager and players. Come on, let's trash Luton. Love it. Thank you. That's such nice words, including the trash talk about Luton. Let's go smash. They're technically London. It would be nice to, have a couple of wins in the borough of London, potentially, because I know we beat Watford and that's not technically London, but it is kind of London. Obviously, we didn't lose against QPR, so yeah, let's have some positive thinking. I do hope Farke proves me wrong because I'd like him to stay. I'm on the fence right now about Farke. I believe in this manager. The thing is the irony is he's still broken so many records this season. He's been one of our most successful managers of all time. And that shouldn't be forgotten because of the last few games, because actually he's the quickest manager to get to 50 wins. He's the quickest manager to get to, 200? No, 200 points? I can't remember what it was. He's broken loads of records. We've scored so many goals, we've conceded so few in comparison. I don't like his certain stubbornness. I was the same with Bielsa when he kept on bringing Tyler Roberts instead of Joffrey on, when we all could see that at that time Joffrey was a game changer and Tyler Roberts wasn't. And I think sorry if you can hear my phone buzzing, it was just my monitor. I think that if he can actually just keep that momentum and keep it going and reverse this backwards trajectory that we are on and then propel us, a bit like a slingshot. We've kind of had to go backwards and then he's going to go and we're going to fly and we're going to absolutely smash the next 7 games. And then I will be more than happy for him. But we have to do it convincingly. If we just kind of like a really old cat, sorry with all of these analogies this evening, but it's just how my brain works. I'm quite a visual person. I feel at the minute we're kind of like a bit of an old kind of Mini Cooper type, and we're just stuttering, well, maybe a Peugeot 206, and we're just kind of stuttering and spluttering. And if we get it just over the line, but not very convincingly, then I think that we should probably part ways, shake hands, thank you very much. But we need certainty, and we need somebody who's willing to make those hard decisions, i.e. drop a undeniably, in comparison to the other promotion chasing keepers, poor keeper, then we can't trust you in the Premier League, because we need to hit the ground running. Because look at Ipswich, look at Leicester. I mean, I think Ipswich actually are still winning 2-1 against Bournemouth, I think. Southampton were winning last time I checked, but I don't know. But Leicester were losing 2-0. I mean, they were 1-0 down within 2 minutes. But if they're anything like Leeds United, they'll come back and win. Draw 2-2 with Man City. Hi, Jess. Always lovely to have you here. Thank you very much. Anybody who isn't a subscriber of Jess, please go and support amazing football channel. She is one of the people who I started out with and is always such a massive support, and she knows her football stuff. She is a Leeds fan and also loves Liverpool as well because of her son. Please go and smash her a like and subscribe, because she's absolutely incredible and a lovely, lovely human being. And there isn't many of those in the world sometimes. Well, you think anyway. Yes, smash the like button wherever it is. I don't know where I'll be because I'm in StreamYard, so I don't actually know where any of the buttons are right now. So yeah, please, in this vague area down here, smash us a like. And if you are not, then please subscribe to the channel. Forget about Melier. The number 1 shirt is his for the rest of the season. Farke is too stubborn to make the change at this stage of the season. I kind of reluctantly agree. I think that if he does, I will be incredibly impressed with Farke if he does. Because for me, it takes a bigger person to admit they're wrong and to change than it does to just dig your heels in deeper and kind of go down on that ship, because you are going to lose your job and you're not going to get that, I'm presuming, massive bonus that will come regardless of whether he's with us next season. If he gets us promoted, the bonus, I imagine, will, considering how long it took them to negotiate with him, in the first place for him to join the kind of absolutely crazy ship that was Leeds United at the time. He'll get a massive bonus and he'll lose out on that, and he'll lose a lot of credibility because he was stubborn. So I really hope you're wrong, but I have a very I have a sneaky feeling you're right, unfortunately. I fully understand, Evie. The cost is ridiculous for most people. Different social demographic now. You're correct. Yeah, it's sad. It really is sad because it should be cheap. It should be, for me, for me, if they can afford to put the prices at what they are when it's cup games, then they should be able to charge that for the entirety. But it's the TV money that counts. And that's why the wealth at the top should be more fairly evenly distributed to the ones lower down, because it isn't the football clubs that suffer, it is the fans that directly take the hit year after year. But yeah. Rise up, comrade, if you have nothing to lose but your yellow bucket hat. I don't know where my hat is, actually. I had it on the side, but I don't know where it is. Yeah, and yeah, I am the sucker that buys everything. Although I do wish that Leeds United would put out more female jumpers and more female tops. They've had the same tops on there. I think they release 2 every season. And the amount of stuff that I have to get taken in and taken up because I have to buy men's clothing. If you want things to become equal, you want women. And the irony is, sorry, I am so soapboxy tonight. The irony is I spend more money than my husband does on the Leeds United website because I'm buying for me, I'm buying for him, I'm buying for the kids. I have on occasion bought for the dogs as well. But if you put more things on there for women, they'll buy more stuff. Your items per receipt will go up. Just good business sense. I remember the days you could buy tickets even at the gates. Now you have to remember. Exactly. It just prices everybody out and limits the amount of genuine fans that can go. Gone are the days of £1 standing and 10p program. Wow. Yes, absolutely. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry, I'm really far behind with chat. I wasn't expecting. I was maybe thinking like 5 people, but there's like 70 odd people in here. So, not going for the spectator. What about Dan Jones? Yeah, no, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. But that's what I was saying about Dan James's accuracy and his calmness, and his composure. Something that he's really kind of honed in on over the last season and a half. That, because of, I think, mental fatigue, has managed to. He's kind of gone. His head's gone a little bit, and for me, again, because Farke hasn't integrated Ramazani, and I haven't been impressed with Ramazani the last few times, but I do think that maybe he should have been given more minutes specifically for this reason, when your good players are on a little bit of a downward, which they fully deserve to be, because they're like, only a few weeks ago, Dan James, nobody had scored or created more opportunities in the league than Dan James and Mano Solomon. So they're doing everything right, and they deserve to be a little bit tired, and they deserve to be, and I don't mean physically, I just mean mentally, because again, the weight of the shirt, the expectation, the fact that Solomon's in a really weird position, a bit like Rodon was, but I kind of feel that Rodon was more with us than necessary. And I'm not saying that Solomon isn't. I'm just saying that Solomon will have more options than Rodon would have done at the end of last season. And that's the really sad fact. Yeah. I mean, I think you would have a chance, but it would be pre-season, and cup games would probably be your best option. Dan James has been a bit greedy of lately. Nonto is another player for self, but needs to be team first. Yeah, but I would say that obviously Nonto scored in the game and should have got us the winning goal. That wasn't on him. He was one of the few people where actually that conceding of goal isn't on him really. So yeah, I do get that. Yeah, Dan James has been a bit greedy. He's been making the wrong decisions, which is a Dan James of old trait. Something that we got so frustrated with him in the Premier League, and I was hoping that was all gone. But this is again why you need competition and why people need to think that their place is at risk. And that goes for Dan James. As much as I love him, I don't want him to be complacent. I don't want anything like that. So yeah, absolutely, Scooby. I am finally here. My internet has allowed me to be here. So I am very happy to actually be able to do a live discourse of peacocks. Fair play, Daniel Fark, a decent person and being criticised from day one. Yeah. No, I don't agree with the boos. It's really difficult because everybody should be allowed their opinion and allowed to air their opinion. Everybody pays their hard money to see a game, and it's not easy to get tickets. It's not easy to get there. The costs, I know. Oh gosh, only Leeds Bros were over for the game. So they've had to get flights over, they've had to, the travel time as well as the tickets, all this money that goes into viewing a game. And then you see that and you see the goalkeeper yet again throw the game away for us. And you see the manager not giving the goalkeeper his marching orders. It is frustrating, but we have to get behind them. We've got 7 games left. On the 7th game, if we're not promoted by that and we have to go through the playoffs, boo them then. And then immediately don't boo them, because obviously we still potentially, that tiny, the glimmer of hope of promotion via playoffs. It would be incredible if we did it, but let's face it. I think we've all thought this at one point or another, Football Guru, that we are worth too much to the EFL and Sky to allow us to go up to the Premier League. They need us more than we need them, and it's always been the case. Hence why it's mainly our away games that are on TV rather than our home games. Well, that's it. That's it. That's it. Thanks, love. Definitely. Thanks. Blame it all on me. This is my husband, by the way. So yeah, he's just blaming it on me because I was in his spot. Win, lose, or draw at halftime pie. Superstition, common sense. Just who cares pie. Superstitious pie. I like. And in fact, that's something that if you're watching afterwards, please let me know what your superstitions are. Because I am fascinated. When I get stressed, I start cleaning and I start tidying, because I did it a lot in the Premier League. Our house has never been tidier than when we were in the Premier League in that final season, because of the fact that I just get so wound up and I have so much kind of pent up energy that I feel like if my team can't be doing something useful, then I need to be doing something useful. And therefore my house got very clean during that time. And although maybe some dishes got smashed, maybe they didn't. We don't go into that. If you struggle to sleep at night, listen to Weaving, a calming voice cutting through all the madness. Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. I guarantee if you heard my voice during a Leeds game, you would not think it was calming in the slightest. Our front line when it comes to goal is a worry. Yeah, no, that is true. That is true, Matt. But I would say that we still managed to score 2. And as a home game, you should be winning. With our defensive record, 2 goals is enough for us to win a game. So I don't necessarily think that it was the forwards that cost us the game. Yes, we could have scored more. 100% agree with you. But I did think that Pirro had a good couple of shots. He was quite unfortunate with them. But yeah, I agree. Pirro's stats have been actually concerning, but they've been going under the radar because other people have still been scoring. Our wingers usually feed each other. Dan James is away, slides in, far post, tap in. If they're knackered, that won't happen as much. Yeah, agree. The instinct and the relationship that Solomon and Dan James had built up seems to have kind of gone away at this moment in time. It seems to not be as kind of productive and promising because of the fact that I think they're both just exhausted. And it's the most football that Solomon's played in, what, 2 and a bit years, really? Because he wasn't even starting every game for Fulham, and obviously scored that wonder goal against us. I always like getting players that have scored against us. That's why I would never have gone for Morgan Whittaker, because he was always absent whenever we played Plymouth. Let's have a look. There is a mentality problem. It stems from Meslier, but it goes through the team. I don't think we'll go up now. Oh, gosh, I hope you're not right. I do think that there is a mentality problem with Meslier, and Luke and Joe, when we were chatting the other night, said about that how Farker knows how you need to treat different players in terms of some you have to call them out publicly, some you have to put an arm around the shoulder. But right now, Mellier's weak mentality is potentially costing Leeds United promotion. And for as much as I have, I would be the exact same with Dan James, and I've even called Dan James out. It's side before self. So I don't care what Meslier needs. I care what Leeds United need. And right now we need a better goalkeeper. And if the only option that we have is Darlow, then right now go for it. Because I'm not saying that he might not have saved the penalty, but I don't think he drops that ball. I really don't. And I don't think that other ball goes in. But we'll see. Oh, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Is it, who's gone to Derby? Is it John Eustace that's gone to Derby? Yeah, I'm sure he went there from Blackburn. So that's good, because they'll be very, oh God, that'll be a 0-0 draw. I bet you that'll be a 0-0 draw. I might put some money on that, because both of those managers love a 0-0 draw. I'm hoping Fark hasn't got in his head like he did last year playing Bamford again to try and help us. I think Fark has it in his head that might work again, and I really, really hope not. What, Danny, are you saying that you don't want Bamford to play? As a pure Bamford defender. I'm kidding. Absolutely. This is how people should live their lives. Evie logic. It's beautiful and should be followed by everybody in order to make some truly terrible decisions. Plus, it'll make Kinnear miserable. That's what you said. Exactly. Oh, that's Joe, that's actually a brilliant reason as to why we need to beat Luton, is just to stick a lovely posh middle finger up at Kinnear to say, well, that's what you get for announcing that you're leaving before the season's ended. It's all southern, same thing, exactly. Anything south of Sheffield is the south. I'm pretty sure that's how the lines are drawn. Evie, I heard you're going to be a commentator. Yes. I don't have anything on here in terms of for the charity match, so please head on over to Joe Blackburn. He will be able to give you all of the details that you need, and please follow him, because he will tell you everything that you need to know. But yes, I am being a commentator for that charity match. I am so looking forward to it, but absolutely not, Andy. I cannot do a watch along because I will be permanently banned from YouTube. I cannot keep my whatnot together when it comes to watching Leeds United. I've always said I would never do a watch along for that very reason. I would be absolutely dreadful because of that. Yeah. Evening, Karen. Lovely to see you. Yeah, no, that is also true. That is also true. I don't know who is worse. me or my husband. This is why we're married, because we're just two truly terrible football watching people together. Um, even if he does change, which he won't, that puts big pressure. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I agree. I think that he would be scapegoated. Um, but I also think that it's needed at the same time. I personally wouldn't blame Darlow, even if he had 7 terrible games. I actually wouldn't blame him, because the damage was already done. You know, we've already kind of risked it by doing things. Oh, I've got some starred messages. Let's have a look. Oh, yay! Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So we've got Football Guru, Joe Blackburn, Jason Taylor, and Carol. Thank you very much for becoming members. Really, really, like, massively appreciate it. It will all be going back in. I need to get some new plugs for my computer, because only 2 out of my 3 screens are able to be powered up. So genuinely, every penny that I've gotten for YouTube has gone straight back in to getting things. There's a bit of me tempted to see if everyone goes, oh, don't, because the pressure. I expected like 5 people maybe, and one of those was going to be my husband, to be watching. So the fact that we're at 90 people for my first ever live is genuinely quite scary. Football Guru, I can see all your messages. Behave. um, shouldn't have to. Danny from Nalp is now actually threatening me with knives because he's on the other side. I told you I'm gonna bring my water gun. That's how I'm gonna make sure everybody gets running faster. I'm gonna have a water gun and just spray people. I don't know if that's actually appropriate, but I'm just gonna do it. No, I don't know. I don't know him. If there's no killer ball there, I don't mind the gamble and have a shot with left peg Dan James. Somebody's got to have a go. Yeah, exactly. Then it's a wonder goal. And earlier on in the season, all Dan James seemed to score were these wonder goals. You know, I remember Lockie from Lockie Leeds, another amazing content creator. Make sure you subscribe to him if you haven't already. I remember, you know, he said that if you just did a compilation of Dan James's goals over the last 2 seasons, you would think that he was this undeniable kind of world beater and everybody would want him. And it was so true, because he was just scoring these so unique and just, you're like, was it a shot? Was it a bad pass? What was it? But it was incredible. It ended up in the back of the net. What the hell? Yeah. So Joey Barton wants to be his co-commentator on the. I think the less said about that barely human being, probably the better. Let's not get me banned off YouTube just yet. Yeah, me too, Carlos. I don't want to do playoffs. I'm actually going on holiday the last day of the season, and obviously originally, as is always the case with these games, it was supposed to be a 3:00 kickoff, and we fly at 3:00. So we were going to miss the entire game because the flight is longer than the game. But now the game has been moved to 12:30, so we should just be able to watch it, but we'll be watching in an airport where we'll have very little or very poor Wi-Fi, and we're going to be, you know, around this, and I don't think we'll be able to wear our Leeds shirts either. So I'm going to be there like covered up, you know, with like a coat around me for, you know, as soon as the final whistle goes and we get promoted, I'm just going to go around Manchester Airport with my Leeds stuff, and obviously I'll have to do the traditional put as many Leeds shirts in front of the scum shirts as possible. Oh, thank you very much, Football Guru. It's always lovely to have you. Thank you. I see you around on lots of other people's chats as well, so thank you very much. Great show. Cheers. Let's keep it going. Oh, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Ian. Oh, Jamie. Lovely to have you here. Jamie is an absolute legend of the Leeds United world. Everybody has to have a Jamie in their life. Let's have a look. Gee, I'm so far behind. I'm so sorry. I've been watching several Premier League games lately, and to be honest, I'm dreading Leeds playing there because any touch on a player and they go down. They've been yeah, no, it's true. The game that we see now versus the game that everybody kind of potentially rightfully so romanticizes, from early 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s, where it was, well, I mean, to be honest, it was potentially just a bloodbath in the 70s and earlier, but that kind of actual contact sport no longer exists. And the irony is that they're so protected that these players wear shin pads that, like, I don't know, is it wrong to say nip slip? They don't cover anything and they wonder why they get injured, and yet they're paid more money than they ever have been before. And yeah, it's just I'm fearful, especially when Ampadu is usually pretty good at the way that he times his challenges, but you've got other people less so. We've seen Firpo, and we know obviously that the likelihood is he's not going to be with us, and I'm absolutely fine with Firpo not being here. But that's another reason why I'd like us to get promoted, because I would love for him to be part of that, to have promotion on his CV and not just a Leeds United relegation. Ivy, we have 7 games. I'm going for the jackpot and 7 wins. Call me crazy if you like, but I'm staying positive. I absolutely adore your positivity, Julie. It is absolutely something to be cherished because not everybody has it. And I think that we all could do with that. We could ring Mess up and see if he would like to play number 2. Oh, I don't think Melier would want to come to that game, if I'm being honest, because I don't know what people's reception to him would be like. It's not just the goalie, it's rotational problem within the squad. Yeah, I agree. We started off earlier on in the season, we were rotating quite a lot, maybe a little bit too much. But once Farker has found his team, he seems to stick with that even when there are very obvious downsides. Ampadu not being, I said during Joe's show match fit, maybe he was match fit, but he certainly wasn't match sharp. And for me, I would have been happier to just see him on the bench. I would have thought that in itself would be enough to carry the momentum of having your captain back in the squad. I don't think we needed him. I think that was a game that Rothwell and Tanaka, I know Tanaka wasn't great, but I think Tanaka, had he started, would have been absolutely fine. I really do. Absolutely, Sean. So nice to see you. I hope that you're going to be nice to me today, considering that I am brand new to this and this is my first ever live solo thing. So yeah, please be nice. Loving the live, Evie. Thank you. Very mindless confusion. Absolutely love that name. I was hoping Fark would put Darlow in familiar after the Hull away game. I think we all did. Imagine the extra points he would have had. Farker's stubbornness will cost him his job. Yeah, and that's the thing. And people keep on saying that line of it'll cost him his job, but he'll get financially rewarded for failing, as all of managers do. Let's not get into a conversation about Jose Mourinho, because I was outnumbered when I said I wouldn't have wanted him at Leeds United, because I don't like people that style of negative football and arrogance and self-centeredness, and Farker will lose his job, but he'll also get a massive financial payout. So once again, and again, the players who individually have played well, Tanaka, Rothwell will go back to Bournemouth, Solomon will go back to Tottenham. all of these other players that will end up losing, Nonta will go, I hope Dan James stays, but he might even go. He's had an amazing couple of seasons. Somebody getting promoted would take a punt on him. All these people that we could lose. And the only people that actually lose out are us, the fans that are going to be there no matter what. We're the ones that lose out. So, yes, it's his job, but he'll also get a financial reward for failing. It's the only job in the world where you get financially paid out when you fail miserably. I really need to get into football management. Crackney, if you're going to be effing and jeffing at John Charles Stadium, please practice for the foreign country. Long drawn. No, I tell you what, that's one thing I can't stand about usually Spanish, South American football is that long goal shout. I don't know what it is. It just really grates me. I just can't stand it. It's one of those little pet peeves that I have. And I can't stand that long goal sound. It's just not going to be. I'll be more of like a Tony DeRigo type of giddy thing. I won't be like, Brinlaw, who's very calm, very placid, very, he does have his excited moments, but yeah, I'm more of a Tony DeRigo where I just go a little bit crazy. That and the fact that I got my husband bought me a Tony DeRigo personalized like video recording for Christmas. So I'm basically going around and telling everybody me and Tony DeRigo are like best friends, which obviously you heard here first. Oh, look who's a member. Oh, thank you very much, baby zebra. Absolutely. Hey Sam, I'm good, thanks, love. How are you? Oh, thank you for being on here. Appreciate that massively. Who's I don't actually know who's referencing. We're in this massive WhatsApp group that Joe is fully aware that I basically ignore because I get overwhelmed with Facebook groups. They just stress me out a little bit too much. So I've told him if there's anything that I actually need to do, then he has to contact me himself because I just get a little bit overwhelmed. Please don't use a water pistol. You're sat next to the expensive equipment. I'm very good with my aim. I'm not a man at a toilet seat. I understand how to aim a water pistol. Nerf instead of water. No, but the problem is Nerf guns from a distance, they can hurt. Speaking from experience after being shot by, children with Nerf guns, they are dangerous. Let's have a look. Yeah, first time I've read, absolutely. Thank you, Sean. Really appreciate that. See, you are actually been nice to me and everything. Bless you. Saturday will tell us everything. We either go 7 wins or from 7 or playoffs. Yeah, no, I agree. I do actually think that I do think that you see, I said that Saturday was a big game, so the fact that we didn't do it makes me incredibly anxious. We've now got to do it away. If we win this game, though, we're back on track because I would have been okay with a win at home and a draw away at Luton. So if we win, everything's back on track. We're winning the league. If we lose or get anything other than a win, oh God, my nerves are going to be shot. It's a good job I don't bite my nails, but if I did, then they would be gone. Fantastic channel. Good to see you going live. As always, you have great opinions on the other shows you are on. Well done. We need to film our content providers. Oh, thank you, Richard. Really appreciate that. God, there's so many lovely comments. It's amazing for first ever live. Genuinely, thank you to everybody who is just sat here an hour deep into just a really rambly chit chat kind of session. So massively appreciate it. Right, I'm gonna tell you something. So I know that you meant Evie, but I'll let you into a little story, actually, a little story time with Evie or Evil. On one of my school reports, my teacher, it used to be before Evie became like a really popular name, Evie used to be auto-corrected in Word to Evil. So on one of my school reports, it actually says Evil Holmes O'Brien. So my form tutor used to laugh at me, and he used to then from then on call me evil. So believe me, it's not the first time I have been accidentally called evil. Um, let's have a look. Um, my heart says I would love nothing more than to be positive and see us get 7 wins from this point on. My head is saying otherwise. Last season must be playing on players' minds. Yeah, I think that it's good that we do have quite a few different players this season. But obviously, we've got Ampadu, we've got Nonto, we've got Dan James. But Dan James was missing for a lot of this bit. It was only in. I don't even think he played in the playoffs. I think he only played in the final because he was injured. So yeah, I do think that we do have a slight different mentality, but I do think that yeah, I am in a very similar position. I'm trying desperately to be positive. I'm trying desperately to remain like, yeah, we can do this with this kind of, I don't know, Yorkshire grit mixed with American optimism because we're owned by American, but we're a Yorkshire club. But, you know, it will all flip flop massively on what the results are for um, on Saturday. If we get the win, absolutely, we're smashing the league. If we don't, um, then yeah. Let's have a look. I am always nice, Evie. About most. Yeah, yeah. No, that's. I wouldn't quite go that far, Sean, but I love the sense of self awareness that you have. It is amazing. I'm just going to drop this here. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm just going to see. Um, see, I've always liked you, Wayne. This is, yeah, I don't either. Yeah, he just plays anti-football, and I couldn't quite believe the same people who were absolutely besotted and in love with Bielsa were the same ones that want Mourinho. It just, I don't know, baffles me completely. Let's have a look. Gosh, I'm trying to catch up. Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever accused me of being Andy Hinchcliffe, but what I can do is as soon as somebody passes the ball or does something, I will just state that they've done it straight away afterwards and act really self-entitled and important. And then I will be doing a I'll be doing a kind of my best Andy Hinchcliffe impression. Absolutely. Me and Tony, we're like that, little bezies. Um, let's have a look. Agree with that, but some people do call me a politician when I'm quite diplomatic about things. So, let's have a look. Thank you, very much appreciated. Hello, thank you for joining me, guys. Really appreciate that. How did I know that you would be the one that would mention that, Sean? Oh dear. I'm presuming you're talking about me and not about Joe, because obviously we've got to stick together. Let's have a look. It's refreshing to have a content provider who doesn't insult players and doesn't pretend to know everything. Does from feel content providers need to stop their channels? Oh gosh. I mean, to be fair, like my husband would say that I do think that I know it all. And obviously as a female, and as a female and specifically as a mother, anything that I don't know just clearly isn't worth knowing. But yeah, I don't know everything and I won't insult the players unless I will critique them and criticize and compliment, but I'm never going to insult somebody as a person. I've got no problem with Melier as a person, but I think he's regressed massively as a goalkeeper over the last few years. And I don't even necessarily think that that's just his fault. I think the lack of adequate coaching and the lack of adequate competition have massively harmed his progression as a goalkeeper, which obviously has affected us as a club, but it's also affected him on a personal, like professional journey. So yeah, I don't like insulting players, but I will critique them. So I'm not just going to be nice about everybody, but I also know that they're human beings. And so, I think YouTube counts as social media. So I don't see as bullying. I don't want to bully somebody or to make somebody feel like they're not worthy. I just think that Leeds United need better, but Melier doesn't keep on picking himself, does he? The manager picks him, so there has to be some kind of recognition and acknowledgement that the manager is choosing him. And as any player, they're not going to say, no, I don't want to play, are they? You're just not going to do that. So regardless, even if he probably thinks he doesn't deserve to play, he's not daft. But yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to, and I certainly don't have the testosterone. I'm all about the estrogen. It's really nice seeing everybody chatting, and so many people know one another in here. It's just, I'll tell them that you said hello. It's just nice to have such a happy. I know it's not. I know it's not, but it's just outside. That's the advert, isn't it? I'm sure that's the advert with, oh God, what's she called? Stephanie. She was an actress. Used to be in Emmerdale. Oh no, maybe that was her character in Emmerdale. Luton Airport, mate. I can't remember. Not gonna. Maybe I shouldn't do impressions. But yeah, I know it's not. But it's near enough. It's near enough. Not lost at sea, lost in the fark. Oh God. Yay, thank you. Your ball knowledge on JV's channel says you know a lot on football. You've shown a few. What is that, including you, Sean? Nah, the thing is like I'm still relatively new to the footballing world, and I'm not going to try and say that I'm not. But I also do my research, and I have watched so many older games. I've watched so many clips, read so many books. I've got I think you can just see it there. I've got for Christmas, my husband got me like Leeds United in the headlines. So I've read so many old stories and things, and I love football, and I love lots of football. I've been watching earlier on, was watching the Liverpool Everton game, and I will watch as much YouTube, as much football as I possibly can. I just soak everything up. I love football in general, and clearly it doesn't matter what genitalia you've got. If you love football, you love football. Melier isn't our worry. We should be worried about team selection and team rotation and the lack of pressing from the front. Yeah, and I think that comes down from, obviously that's a managerial issue, and also I think that if he rotates, and if we get some kind of new injection in terms of, just allow Dan James and Solomon to rest, allow them to come on and impact a game, allow Nonto to carry on that momentum from scoring, allow Nonto to get his shooting boots back on, allow Nonto to wear that shirt and feel that weight for a little while, because he can handle it. Earlier on in the season, he was one of our best players. So let's give him that back. He can handle it. I really do think that. I think it's just underneath somewhere. I'd love to be able to actually tell you, this is why I'm not a professional. I don't know all of these things. I'd be a terrible salesperson. Just, I think it's somewhere down here that if you are subscribed to the channel, it then gives you an option to become like a member, possibly. If anybody else knows, please pop it in the chat and enlighten Andy, because I am doing a shocking job. I agree, being no good, being hurtful to people. Leeds should be a safe space to. I don't know if anybody can hear that, but my dog is having a dream and is just yapping in the background. Leeds should be a safe space and chance to switch off from your stresses. Exactly. And that's why I found it quite difficult recently, because I've had stresses off, like out of football, and then with football not being as good as it has been in terms of letting a 7-point gap between us and Burnley just vanish. Yeah, it's been difficult and I've needed just a little bit of a break. But I'm not a fair weather fan. I just sometimes have to prioritize my own well-being, in order to parent and stuff. Lorraine Chase, that was it. That was it. I knew I wasn't going mad. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that. Lorraine Kelly. Yes, Lorraine Chase, that's it. See, I blooming knew I wasn't going mad. You make me proud all of the time, baby, regardless of football. There we go. See, husband helping me to my rescue when I am not great with technology. He comes in and saves the day. You did beat Joe. You did. There we go. The join button right next to the channel name. There we go. Thank you. Thank you everybody for letting people know how to become a member. I won't be on too much longer because I've just realised the time and I need to go and parent and put a child to bed. But obviously YouTube and Leeds United comes first. The kids know this now. They need to know their place. It goes like dogs, Leeds, husband and children. And I'm saying this while my husband's watching, so he's going to have a very disapproving face. Competition is healthy in a team. Without it, the locker room suffers. Leeds United equals Parker management side. I agree. I think I've always said my biggest gripe is the competition, in terms of that was why we were getting the best out of Dan James and Solomon at the beginning, especially because of the fact that they weren't the starting wingers. We had Ramazani and we had Nonto. So we didn't have Solomon and Dan James. They got injured at a very similar time and then came back at a very similar time. And then they earned their place and they never lost it. But then Ramazani and Nonto weren't doing anything to push them out, whereas Nonto's got a couple of goals now. So I do think that he's done enough to earn a starting spot. I really do. No matter what position, whether it's number 10, whether it's playing on the right and bringing Dan James as an impact sub later on, which again, I'm happy with. I want all team members to be giving something, because otherwise what's the point of having them there? Ice Lord, changes needed, Millie out, James rested, Byram out. Yeah, I was a bit frustrated. Byram didn't necessarily do anything wrong. He's just not Firpo. And I think if you're going to play Solomon, who has played so many minutes this season, then you should have been giving him the best opportunity by having Firpo start. He only played one game. I know there was a lot of travel involved, but he still only played one game. So I think he could have played. I really do. A lovely sliding tackle by Evie's dog in its dream there, Welling. Absolutely. Charlie loves playing football. He's terrible at it, and I always nutmeg him. And he's bad when I manage to nutmeg him, especially because he's got 4 legs, so he has no excuse to be nutmegged. But yeah. If it's your first time in actually, I prefer lives to pre-recorded. Yeah, well, I've wanted to do lives for so long, but my internet has been so bad. Obviously, if you've seen me on any other streams, the amount of times I would freeze, and it's one thing when you freeze on somebody else's channel when you know that they can all just continue without you. It's another thing if you freeze on your own show. Yeah, I didn't want to put myself, who I'm not very computer literate. I'm just going to throw that out there. But I've wanted to do lives for so long because I like this back and forth. It's been so effortless to do this with everybody. So yeah, I very much I'm appreciative of how kind and streaming's addictive. Absolutely, I will be doing this. Husband is aware of where he is in the list. Oh dear. I don't want to have to campaign either, leave you about lifting your ban from the channel. Oh dear. I think I'm almost caught up. I'm moving on in a minute, so take care. All the best for the lives in the future and catch all. Oh, thank you very much for joining. I will be heading off in a second myself, just because I need to, go and parent. Ugh, I know, right? Hi, Colin. Lovely to have you here. Thank you, Colin. You've always been incredibly supportive and lovely. So thank you very much for joining. I'm almost done here. I've kept everybody for almost an hour and a half on my first live. So yeah, I appreciate how many people have been in today. Like we almost got to 100, which I genuinely would have been happy with like 5 people. But it's been an absolute blast this evening. Let's have a look. My team will be Dalla, Paul Bogle, Pascal Rodon, Tanaka, Laura, of course, Rothwell, James, Willie, Solomon, and Pirro. So would you still start? Would you still start Dan, James, and Solomon then, Sean? Because I don't know whether one or both of them need resting, and maybe keep Aronson in because he scored, but maybe put Nonto on the right and Solomon or even Ramazani on the left. Can I pose a question for everyone? You're the manager of a football team who are in the same position as Leeds are now. Do you go for it because you have nothing to lose but everything to gain? Yeah, I go for it, absolutely. I agree. We need to go for it. I would be far more forgiving of everybody if we somehow didn't make it, but we gave it everything. And we also played the best football all season and we still just didn't get it over the line. I'd be far more forgiving than if we try and be defensive, than if we try and win every game by 1 goal or 2 goals. Obviously, you're far more likely to win with 2, but I would be more forgiving if we went for it. I'd be more forgiving if he dropped Meslier, because at least he had the guts to do it. He should have done it earlier, but at least even he would say enough's enough. Thank you, Baby Zebra. Thank you. I appreciate that. Franchise advert. Exactly. No, I know the advert, but I don't know when it exactly was. But I'm sure I've heard lots of other people around me talking about it. Keep Millie in, bring Bamford as well. I don't know whether you're joking or not. I genuinely want to know whether you're joking or not. I know we're second. Yeah. Yes, smash the like. Do it because the husband says to do it. It's all right, Colin. Don't you worry. There will be more because I now have working internet. So there will be more. But yeah, feel free to go back and watch. It's been quite a blast considering it's a first show. Everyone subscribe. Yeah. Yeah, I get really awkward. I can't sell things. Like, when it comes to, like, me, I could sell other people. I mean, not that I go around selling people on the black market or anything. Again, I don't wanna get banned off YouTube, but I don't do the whole self-promotion thing. It just makes me incredibly uncomfortable. Yeah, I agree. We have to go for it. No, Sean, I do think that. I don't think I've said I agree the same. Ramazani hasn't done much, but equally, does he deserve to be given the chance to just try? And you can just bring Solomon off on at half time if it's not working. I think Ramazani was like a shining light earlier on in the season. Obviously, he hasn't quite ever really been the same after the Watford injury. I was at that game and it was awful. And the fact that, we got a throw in for it was ridiculous. And, didn't even get a foul or a yellow card. I just I know Aronson didn't play well, I get that, but he wasn't the poorest person on the pitch. There was a few others that I would say were poorer than Aronson. Aronson did put the ball in the back of the net. So I don't know. I just think he got the rest. Dan James didn't, and neither did Solomon. So out of all of them, Aronson has probably had the most rest. So I would be okay with him starting. Saying that, we're away from home, aren't we? So maybe you're right. Maybe put Nonto in and keep the rest as it is. Who knows? We'll probably just see the exact same team. Love to see Willie in the number 10 with Piro's 9. Yeah, I've said about Willie Nonto. I know a lot of people don't agree. But sometimes change is needed, and we didn't go and get that number 10 when we clearly needed a different profile of number 10, and we didn't. So maybe, you see, I will do a poll, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to start adding polls onto my first live simply because of the fact I've managed to find the go live button was a massive deal for me. So we will do that maybe next time. Let's have a look. Someone become a member say you believe podcast. Oh god, you make me sound like a cult. Oh, hi Jay, nice to see you. Lost at sea and looking for the lighthouse, but I think we'll find it. Ooh, but I know you've been quite you're not a huge lover of Farker Ball, so you still think that we'll find it. Fingers crossed. I really hope. Sean Monaghan about Aronson. Yeah, no, Tanaka was poor. Tanaka was poor. Tanaka's had a few poor games where I don't know whether it was the square ball. I don't know who said it that has been kind of covered up because um, other people came um, and were poorer than him. And if they hadn't have been actually Tanaka, Tanaka was poor against Portsmouth. I think it was. I think that was probably his worst game, and I don't think this game was far behind it. In all honesty. Ooh, yeah. Oh, come on. Need Derby to just get into a good vein of form, and then it would be amazing to for them to smash Burnley. I would love it, absolutely love it. Some fans had to lose shiny comments shouldn't be dismissed lightly unless your name's Sean Ely. I've got so much love for Sean. He's always been lovely, to me. So let's have a look. I said I was going, but people just keep on commenting, and it's really difficult. It's really difficult because I hate that feeling of being rude. I've just got this such a people pleaser. I think it just needs a change. Ramazani and Monte to start new career. Yeah, I agree. That's what I've said in the fact of I would maybe do that and bring. I mean, imagine just bringing Solomon and Dan James on when they've had a good rest and they know that the whole weight of the game isn't on their shoulders is going to make the opposition just actually fret with the fact that we've got so much talent to come off the bench, whereas Ramazani and Nonto are fairly out of form, so they're not maybe the same threat coming off the bench that Solomon and Dan James would be. Thanks, Eva. Really enjoyed the stream. Many more, please. Oh, I hope so. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree, Mooks. I think we do need to drop Meslier. I think that's probably a fair. One sec. You're as bad with technology as I am, Jay. Yeah, I mean, that's a really sad view, but I agree. I think that we would. I think we would see. I think we would see the difference in the back line. You know, obviously, Rodon played both games with Darlow, so there will be a natural trust and chemistry with him anyway that maybe another keeper wouldn't have with him because of the fact that, you know, they don't play international football. Oh, I think that's on the cusp of being unfair, but it is hard to argue against. Obviously, Geldhart hasn't played many minutes for us this season, but he has gone and, you know, he scored a couple of goals now at Hull, and been vital in some of their wins and creation of other goals. Even though I think one of his goals was an own goal that should have been, I think he scored directly from a corner, but it went down as an own goal for the opposition. I can't remember what game that was in, but I think just maybe Joseph's the shirt is maybe too heavy. I think if you see Joseph in another team, a bit like Geldhart in the end of, he started off really bright, just like Joseph did last season, and then the actual weight of it maybe got a little bit too much for him to bear. I love Rothwell. I really do. I like his attitude. I love his beard. I don't know whether we'd sign him because there is so much that needs to be done with that team. I think we underestimate and maybe overestimate our own players in terms of what those players will achieve, because that Leicester team that they've got, other than, oh God, who was it that went to Chelsea along with Enzo Maresca? Oh, midfielder. Why can't I think of his name? You all know who I mean. But I think other than him, that team is a very similar team that absolutely annihilated the Championship last season, and they're demolished. They're done. I don't think they will. I don't think they will. Well, they're down, aren't they? Because, yeah. Manager not got a clue, said this every year. I think he does. I just think he's stubborn, and I think every good manager is stubborn, and every bad manager is stubborn. I think every manager, that's how they get to their job, is the fact that they're stubborn. It's been a great first stream, Evie. Thank you, but come on now, stick to your guns. If not, can we have a sandwich, please? What do you mean? Oh dear. Let's have a look. Tactical change to use a keeper who doesn't play out with his feet, though. That's a biggie. Yeah, that's, I don't know, but how people say that Meslier plays out with his feet, and he does, but the actual passes that he does aren't. I don't know, maybe this is just a little bit of naivety, but it's not like he's a world beater. He's not like David De Gea of the, 2021 season, who could ping a ball and it would land, on Bruno Fernandes's foot, from, 3/4 of a pitch away. He passes 6 yards. It doesn't have to be that good with his feet. He has to be able to pass a ball 6 yards. And if you can't pass a ball 6 yards as a professional footballer, maybe you should find another career path. Joffrey will be better than Joseph, mark my words. I don't know. Thanks, here. I must go to bed. See you on the next one. Night, Julie. Thank you very much for being here. I thought Joseph would really pick up this season, but he hasn't just seemed to be. Yeah, he has. He's lost that. He was really good in the first, dozen games, and then he's just fallen off a cliff, but somehow manages to do it for Spain under 21s. Right, guys, I'm going to have to go because of the fact that I've said that I was going for about 5 minutes and I haven't. So I need to go because I need to go put small person to bed. So thank you very. Oh, can we talk Luton? We can talk Luton. I think he'll pick the same lineup. I think if he's had his head switched on, meaning Farker, I think he will change Meslier to Darlow. I think that maybe we see Nonto starting, but I think it could be any one of Dan James, Solomon, or Aronson to drop. I think the most likely to drop is probably Aronson. Because he did take him off at half-time versus QPR. So I do think that that's the most likely. I don't like doing predictions. Anybody who's seen me on anybody else's channels know that I really don't like doing score predictions because, again, maybe this, feeds into the whole narrative of me being a tiny bit superstitious when it comes to Leeds. I don't like making predictions because I don't like feeling too cocky because I'm just aware that Leeds United have that very that habit of letting you down. So I don't want to be let down. So I don't predict them to be like, yeah, we're going to smash someone. But I think we need to smash them. I think in order for everybody to get back on board the Daniel Farker, Leeds United, we are 100% going to get promoted and we will 100% be playing in the Premier League next year, then we have to show up and make a difference in this game. I don't think that we can afford to drop any points. I don't even think, because we didn't win at the weekend, I don't even think that we can say, oh, well, we can draw away from home because we didn't get the win at home. So we now need to make that win up before the gap gets any bigger between us and Sheffield and potentially us and Burnley, considering we're only in front of them on goal difference. If we lose to Luton and Borough, then I want Farker to be sacked. Wow, Russ, nice to see you, by the way. Thank you for jumping on. Wow, that's a ballsy move. I don't think I'd ever be there simply because I don't think that has the desired effect that everybody thinks it would have, because if you sack the manager when the manager throughout the season and throughout the last 2 seasons has broken so many records, it just gives the players who were on the line of jumping ship, i.e. Solomon, Nonto, maybe even Tanaka, because of how much praise he's received in the English media. If you sack the manager, then I think that just gives the green light for every player to think about themselves. And I think that then we end up in the wilderness if that's the case. I really, really do. I don't think that he'll be sacked. Yeah, and that's fair enough. I don't think that you're wrong for thinking that. I just don't think that they will do it. And I don't think that realistically that would be the right thing to do. If he loses those games or draws the games or whatever, he'll be gone at the end of the season because we won't get promoted. But yeah, I don't think that will happen. I think we draw to lose and then lose to Borough and the 49ers. But I just don't see it because, as well, obviously the last year's financial statements have just come out and we made a substantial loss, but that's to be expected. It wasn't anything kind of that we would, it's not shocking. It's just, it is what it is. It's what happens when you get relegated and you don't have Premier League money. But 49ers aren't going to do that. They're not going to pay somebody out to then get somebody in to pay them to get them. It just doesn't make financial sense. And I've said they're a business first, and it just doesn't make good business sense for them to sack him now? And also, if there is the potential to still get promoted, how can you convince players to stay, have faith and keep the faith if you sack the manager with what, by that time, 5 games to go? It's just not going to happen. It just, yeah, just sack the season. You might as well just say, right, well, we're finishing this season. We forfeit the season and we forfeit playoffs. It's essentially what they'd be saying. Right, guys, I'm going to have to go. I am. I'm doing it now. I'm leaving. I'm abandoning you all. An absolute massive. I just want to make sure that I've got. Thank you, Stephen, as well. I'm not sure whether I've showed this or not. So thank you very much. I want to say thank you to everybody who has joined this evening, whether it was for 5 minutes or whether you've been here an hour and 45. It has been an absolute dream of a first stream. Thank you to everybody for being kind and for being considerate and for just bearing with me, because I am not technologically gifted. So thank you very much for coping with me. And it's been an absolute wonderful stream where we've just had a really nice chat, just chilled. I like my chill. Don't get me wrong. I love having, a bit of an argy-bargy with other people on YouTube, because everybody is, fantastic and has their own opinions, which that's what the world needs. But it was a perfect first stream. So thank you very much. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.